It's only been 2 weeks, and the pilot for the Amazing Digital Circus has taken over not just YouTube, but the entire internet. Like seriously, everyone is talking about this thing. With over 35 million views, this is by far the biggest show Glitch has ever released. And if the show is this popular from just a single episode, it makes me wonder how huge it will be by time the full season premieres. Like, just look at the numbers, people. The Murder Drones pilot took almost 2 years to get 25 million views, and it took Digital Circus only 10 days to get to that. Like, that is phenomenal. But that's not the point of this video. Today, I wanted to talk about a theory. Yes, this will be my very first Digital Circus theory of most likely many. But, you know, that's not the point. I wanted to discuss a theory that I've seen thrown around a few different times that I think could be possible. But I also wanted to discuss a theory of my own that I think could potentially change everything. Real quick though, I would like to apologize for being a bit late to talking about the pilot as well as discussing theories. If you've been keeping up with my community tab, you'll already know why, but I won't let what's going on in my personal life stop me from talking about Funny Clown Show. So let's do that. So to begin discussing this theory, we need the full picture. At this point, I'm sure everyone watching this video has already seen the pilot, so I won't go over every little thing that happened, but to sum things up shortly, everyone trapped in the Amazing Digital Circus got trapped in a virtual reality game of the same name. Although we really don't know too much about everyone's backstories at this point, but after watching the pilot and looking at key details, I'm starting to see where this series is headed. I want to first talk about Kane, the ringmaster who runs the Digital Circus. We were always told that Kane was an AI entity, but how true is that? We know he's not really a villain, and he just doesn't understand humans, but, you know, it isn't unlike Glitch to lead us into believing a certain plot point, only to then throw us a curveball. Like, look at Murder Drones. Like, sure, with how much control Kane has over everything, he definitely is most likely a computer program, but what if there's more to him than we think? What if he is maybe connected to one of the developers of the Amazing Digital Circus? And I'll explain why. Towards the end of the pilot, we learn from him that he was lying about the exit and just never ended up finishing it, with the void being a product of that unfinished work. Now, I get having full control over everything, but that to me sounds like something a developer would say. Even if Kane is just a bunch of code, which he most likely is, I'm starting to believe that he's at the very least connected to one of the game's lead developers, which then leads me to talk about the company itself that made the game, CNA. We first find out about the company in the scene where Pomni is playing the Stanley Parable. Although we don't really have much to go off of other than a single logo, the internet has already started coming up with all sorts of theories, including the possibility of the company name, Cain and Abel. So I'm a bit mixed on this one. On one hand, it isn't unlike Glitch to include biblical or philosophical meanings and references in their show, especially when it comes to Murder Drones. But on the other hand, other than the ringmaster being named Cain, there isn't much proof to really back this up. I mean, even the way his name is spelled is different from the Cain in the Bible, so, you know, I would take this with a grain of salt, but then again, we do only have a single pilot, so maybe there could be some truth to this theory once we get more episodes. So I'm not disputing it entirely, and it would make for some very interesting lore. Either way, CNA is definitely the big bad corporation responsible for creating the Digital Circus, as this facility is filled to the brim with several workstations with old beat up computers and VR headsets that are 100% what trapped everyone inside the game. Now, even before the pilot was released, I was theorizing about what these humans' lives were like prior to the Digital Circus. There are two possibilities at play here. First, this is the theory that I've seen a lot of people discuss, and that is the potential of everyone trapped being a developer of the game. I know I'm far from the only person to think this, but it would kinda make sense to an extent. Obviously, this headset was being tested at CNA's facility and wasn't available for commercial use as far as we know. So they couldn't have had easy access to the headset without having connections to the company, so it's definitely possible that they were all working on the game only to be trapped by their own creation. What a dark twist of fate. But one thing I thought about, which makes me question that theory, is the time each person has spent trapped in the Digital Circus. We know that Pomni is the most recent one to be trapped, but everyone else has supposedly been there for years. We even have official ages for all the characters, thanks to Gooseworx for obvious reasons. So we can kind of piece together how long each person has been trapped there for. But if they were all developers and worked on the game, how long has this game been in development for? Now, before the pilot premiered, I was pretty certain that this series would take place in the mid-90s, but now I'm not so sure. Yeah, the game itself may be that old, and the computers look like they came from that time frame, but I doubt they would still be hiring developers many years later. But here's a theory that I think could potentially change everything, if it holds any truth at all. What if everyone trapped there aren't developers, but instead they were people randomly selected as game testers, heavy quotes on there, by CNA, but instead the company was using the game to test on those people lucky enough to be selected? Maybe this is all just one big experiment to see how this digital world affects humans' minds without taking into account, how you would leave. I mean, unless that is just 100% intentional, I can totally see this being kind of one giant, murder plot. They're purposefully trapping these people in the game to have them reach their breaking point. We've seen how this digital world affects those who reach their breaking point. There are literally X's crossed off. And maybe for all we know, this whole thing is led by the fabled Cain and Abel, if we are to go off of the previous theory I mentioned. But that might be a bit of a stretch. Anything's possible, I guess. I mean, like I said, we really only have the pilot to go off of. Anything can change between now and episode 2, which we're probably going to have to wait a good year before we hear anything on the rest of season 1, because they are, of course, currently trying to raise funding for a full season. So really all I can ask for you guys to do is go support them, buy their merch. It really does help fund their shows so that they can bring us more fantastic things like Murder Drones and Digital Circus. So go ahead and do that, and let me know what you think of these theories down in the comments below. Do you think they're developers? Do you think they're test subjects that CNA is doing some mind experiments with? I know I'm a crackpot theorist, but that's just what I do best. Let me know down in the comments below. But as always, be sure to drop a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Help me get to 10,000 subscribers. So, of course, subscribe if you want to stay updated with all my content. Thank you all so much for watching this video. And as always, this is Inferno signing off.